That's true. We're going to have a session here which will be on the topic of youth riots. And that is something that has occurred for a number of years all over Europe. And I think it's something which connects quite nicely to some of the things that have been taken up in the presentations we had earlier in the conference about, young people as seismographs and how are we to interpret what is happening out there, but also at the same time, how can we as outreach workers deal with the situations that we face in neighborhoods and in cities where outreach work is done. So that are the questions that we will deal with during this session. Now, when you read the program, you may get the impression that I'm supposed to lecture on this subject, but don't be afraid. We have a much better program. Thing is that what we will have is 3 different presentations. And there will be one from Stockholm in Sweden, which is on the east coast of Sweden, Sweden's capital. A second one from Zaragoza in Spain, which is in the northeast of Spain. However, we discovered that me and Rodriguez, we are both flamenco guitarists, so there are something we have in common. And then finally, but not least, we have a presentation from Marseille, south of France. So, and they will, I think what we will get is also not just 3 different locations, but also 3 different pictures of what kind of issues, problems, and situations that outreach work is really dealing with. And I can promise you this will be a very exciting 1.5 hours that we have in front of us. So I'm really looking forward to that. So what we will do is simply this. We will start in Stockholm, move further to Zaragoza and then to Marseille. And we will see a little, if you have questions which are related to the presentations, please don't hesitate to put them so we can have a little discussion. However, the aim is that we should have some space in the end of the session so we can try to bring up some common themes and we can try to discuss. So, alright, so that's the simple, and we are supposed to be finished at around 4 o'clock. Okay, so most welcome. And yes, Dejan, please. This is our man from Stockholm, and he's going to give you a presentation from Husby, which is an area in Stockholm. So please.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, it seems that I have to stand here all the time because microphone's here, so I'll try to do my best. All right, thanks. So, my name is Dejan Stankovic, and I live and work in Stockholm. By origin, I'm from Serbia, and I came to Sweden in '92, moved to Stockholm in '98, started working as an outreach social worker, and since then I've been working as outreach worker a couple of years, 5-6 years in the same area that I'm going to talk about. Then I became coordinator of drug and crime prevention, and then a couple of years ago I grounded prevention unit, and today I'm a unit manager for this prevention unit in this particular area in Stockholm. I might have some difficulties sometimes to find the proper word in English, so don't hesitate to help me out. Not Graham. No, I'm joking. So this is a picture. So I hope that my Danish and Norwegian colleagues won't be angry when they read the capital of Scandinavia. It was me who wrote it. I wrote it only this one I get. So maybe I can just put you in the right context. So there are 290 municipalities in Sweden, and in Stockholm's county we have 26 municipalities. City of Stockholm, or Stockholm City Council. I mean, there is a lot of words, but I'm going to use terms as City of Stockholm, and then by that I mean the largest municipality in Sweden, which is with 900,000 inhabitants and more than 40,000 employees. Maybe, I think the city of Stockholm is the biggest employee in Sweden. I don't know, but I think it's like something like that. And the city of Stockholm is growing by 15,000 inhabitants per year. This area that you see, this is city of Stockholm. This is the biggest municipality, like I said. And areas around are the other municipalities. But I'll talk now mostly about city of Stockholm. And up here you can see Rinkeby-Kista, and that's the city district where I work with, where I'm working. You can see it here. There is another place just near Rinkeby here. It belongs to another city district, but it's very important in this context because that area called Järva field. So here we have another part which is quite similar to Rinkeby and the other parts. So this city district Rinkeby-Kista is one of the 14 and consists of 4 neighborhoods, and it's Rinkeby, Kista, Husby and Akalla. And then you can see this gray area here, mostly here. That area is Kista Science City, known as Kista Science City, where many of Sweden's most successful and influential companies in technology and ICT industries are based. They call it sometimes Swedish Silicon Valley. For example, Ericsson has headquarters just in the middle here. Then there is another particular thing that it says here that 47,000 inhabitants live in this area, in whole area. But here, if you take this part, it's around 30,000 inhabitants. In this gray area, in this industry zone, we have at least 30,000 people commuting to work here every day. And they have almost nothing in common, almost. Well, despite for mall, Kista Mall or Kista Galleria, Kista Mall, where subway station is. So people who live here don't have so many in common with people who works here. And it's so close. And Rinkeby, this part is even more segregated from the other part of Stockholm and from the part of Kista. This area that I'm talking about, called a million program area, because something between, as you can read, 1965 and 75, a national initiative to build 1 million homes in 10 years occurred. So in whole Sweden, in 10 years, they built 1 million homes. I think I read somewhere that it was probably the biggest building effort in the world at that time. And so this area where I'm working is so-called million program area. So we will move further to Husby, which is if you remember those 4 neighborhoods. Husby is one of those neighborhoods in the middle of this area, and it consists of 2,000 inhabitants, and 70% live in rental houses. It's maybe interesting for you to know that inhabitants with ethnic background are almost 90%, compared to entire city of Stockholm, which is about one third part. And definition on inhabitants with ethnic background means here born abroad, so-called first generation, or born in Sweden with both parents born abroad. They call it also second generation. In employment, people who goes to work every day in this older category, population 24 to 60, because I don't want to count them lower than 24, because they probably go to school or something like that. So you can see that almost 80% of population in Stockholm is working, have jobs or something else. But in Husby it's only 55%. And all those, when we try to explain what happened in Husby last year, those pictures can be good to remember. So, so we'll move to last year, May. I'll try to give a short description of the background to the social unrest. I don't know if I'm going to to use term unrest or riots, because it was riots 2 nights and then it was unrest the rest of the days, right? So, May 13, so we have to go a couple of days before May 19. So in May 13, a man, 69 years old, was shot to death by police in his apartment in Husby. The police announced in media that the man was transported by ambulance to the hospital and died there. The problem is, in this house, in this main apartment house, is only one exit and one entrance. So, and there is a lot of people outside watching this action, watching this man wave with a knife at the balcony, threatening to kill himself and his wife. And most of the people didn't think that he was so dangerous. A lot of policemen came there, and like I said, a lot of inhabitants who gathered around and monitoring, almost observing what is going on. And everybody have smartphones today, and mobiles, and everybody can read what is going on. And people read on their mobile phones that he was transported by ambulance and died. When they said we never saw any ambulance or something like that. So, and you know how news can spread very quickly. So even more people come to this place and waiting to see what is going on. In fact, man died in his apartment, like I said, and transported from there several hours later during the night. And those pictures went everywhere. We have a lot of different organizations who are active in this area, but there is one particular organization called Megaphone. Young people organized a couple of years ago who tried to make better world in Husby, and they were very critical to this police action. They regarded incident as a murder, and they organized demonstration against the police violence outside the police station 2 days after. But it was very peaceful, nothing happened, maybe half an hour, and then they went.
Just talk.
Nobody knew why police did that. I mean, they could say as it was. It was a lot of questions, a lot of we didn't get any answers even today. But then and then on the Saturday Sunday, May 19th, then a large number of young people gathered in Husby, which resulted in several fires and throwing stones at the police and fire departments. Even fire departments tried to come and help, so they get stones. There were rumors that something was going to happen in this area during Friday and Saturday evening, and both police and we from City District were prepared, because we thought it might be something, but it was very, very calm. It was almost unbelievably calm. And then Sunday evening, it was Sweden played World Championship in ice hockey and won. So very few police were outside on duty, and nobody from local police office was there. So Sunday evening, I mean, nothing happened, and that's where everything started. So again, back to the city of Stockholm City. You can see that those unrest, I don't want to use the term riots still, but the unrest continued day after, and then escalated and spread to several areas in Stockholm County, and even several cities in Sweden. But it was maybe one night or one afternoon, and then it was quiet again. The situation of this social unrest formally continued like 18 days before the situation returned to normal again. But those riots, those 2 nights riots in Husby, was only those 2 nights, and then it was quite calm. We didn't know if it's going to continue or not. But it was very tense situation every night. I haven't been there the first night, but I came there second night, and I was there all the time since. Another thing that was very interesting, I don't know if I can say interesting, is that the media attention was huge. I don't know why. Well, there is a couple of explanations, but I think that, you can see, this is from the Swedish newspapers. It says chaos everywhere and a lot of cars in fire, and it's chaos in there. So, as a result, the British and US State Department warned citizens to visit this area affected by riots in Sweden. And I read somewhere that Netherlands and New Zealand warned their citizens in general to travel to Stockholm, which was totally unbelievable. I don't know if it was. I talked to a lot of journalists, and not only me, but everybody else. I talked to Japanese journalists, New York Times, BBC, I mean, you name it. And I'm not counting all Swedish TV stations, radio stations, and newspapers. I remember that it was journalists from India, from China, from Russia, from everywhere. And in Husby Center, with subway station has 2 exits, and with 1 exit, it was kind of parking lot where at least, I don't know, 10 photographs stand here every day, every night, waiting something to happen. You know, it was like on a football match when you see those journalists behind the goal, waiting to get the best shot. It was almost like that. They were sitting there and waiting for something to happen. Then maybe there is one explanation why that happened. So, like I said, the unrest started on Sunday evening, and it was a few police officers on duty, and no one from the local police office, like I said. But 5 o'clock that night, this organization, Megaphone, they sent out a press release that they wanted to have a press conference in Husby at 10 o'clock the day after. And that the message was the police violence. The message was the police violence against citizens during yesterday's police operation in Husby. So first was this man who gets shot. Police lied. They accused police to murder this man, and then they said the police was very violent against citizens or young people during the riots the day before. And this press conference was starting point for the media. I think that was a key moment. This is very local press, local newspapers, and you can see the translation that city's local operation open as usual despite the unrest. It was a lot of discussions on what should we do, how should we continue with everything. So this is show a couple of pictures of what we did, or we tried to do. This is first short-time priorities, and this is those priorities. It's not only that we did in Husby, so this is for whole city of Stockholm. But I've been in Husby all the time, and I had contact with my colleagues all the time, but I couldn't think like what happened in whole city of Stockholm. It was only Husby that I was focused. But those short-term priorities, we did like that also. So supporting safety measures all over the city, business as usual, which we pointed every time because we have a lot of resources, a lot of places that young people can come, and we don't want to close them and to proclaim kind of zone that something is happening. So we have schools worked as usual, youth centers, everything worked as usual, as normal. We tried to work closely with district youth centers and on the first place, local citizens to offer support and services. And then we tried to support local citizen initiatives to stop violence because we couldn't stop violence or if we tried only by ourselves. Police couldn't do that. So the key was that we collaborate with local citizens and local organizations. The city's long-term strategy was decreasing marginalization, offering youth activities, building and refurbishing housing, improving education, and job opportunities, involving citizens to effectively take part, and so on and so on. It's election in Sweden soon, so those, any party can copy those sentences in there. I mean, no, really, we are trying to do that. We're working like this. but it's nothing new, actually. Strategic initiatives, which is still going on. We have like 10.7 billion crowns invested in this area. City district where I'm working and the other city district that I showed you before. 6,000 summer jobs in 2013, but not only city district, in whole city of Stockholm. 6,000 summer jobs for young people 16 to 18 during the summer. 400 apprenticeships, homework support, social intervention groups, youth summer activities, and then relocation of city operations from inner city to suburban areas, such as city district where I'm working, but also south of the city. So that's why everything started. Well, the formal, what should I say, there is another explanation on why everything started, which we didn't know from the beginning, but we heard about it. This 69 years old man being shot was maybe a trigger that young people, youngsters or young adults be very angry at police, to police, and then starting with riots. Because they said all the time, they're still saying now that police are like bullying them all the time. In this area, I mean, like in every other area, there is a group of young people, young adults who are criminal, who deal in drugs and do everything that they shouldn't. And they said that police are harassing them all the time, bullying them, stopping them, even when they're not doing anything. They said that the police go to their homes, talk to their parents, to their girlfriends, and they said police should show more respect. And when police lied and murdered this 69 years old man, it was a trigger, and it was opportunity to try to fight back somehow. After a couple of days after this media attention, they realized that things are starting. They realized that they are losing control, and there was a lot of young people from the other parts of Stockholm came there every night and wanted to fight the police. So it was very hard, very difficult to stop those riots. So those who started riots wanted to stop them 3 or 4 days after. And it was a crucial moment, and remember it was 4th or 5th night that it was something like negotiations between locals who started riots and people who came from the other parts of Stockholm wanted to continue. So, but fortunately, so they stopped riots. And I just wanted to tell you, I don't know if I should stop now.
No, but you can just finish it up. So.
Yeah. So what we are working now with, I just wanted to show you the methodological manual for cooperation to counterattack social unrest. For a couple of years ago, police, together with city district where I'm working, and the other city, and neighboring city district, started work with this methodological manual for how to think, what to do to counterattack, to prevent social unrest. And this is a web-based methodological handbook. You have this is the address here, and it's in English also. If we have time, then, and if you're interested, so we can probably go to the town homepage and check. Situational measures, according to this methodological handbook, is that we have 4 situations. Right now, all the time, is green situation, which means that this was normal situation, long-term work. I mean, everything is business as usual, like I said. Yellow situation is information has been received with regard to unrest or a specific incident that could result in outbreak of violence. And here is very important in this yellow situation. It's very important to prepare the the organizations from the area to help us and to help each other to stop. And when the situation has escalated, then it's important to stop it as soon as possible and to have measures that we planned before. So because Husby riots in Husby started during the work with this methodology handbook, and then we said so we could test it on field also. It was pity that we wasn't finished. We couldn't finish the methodology handbook before riots because we could probably work from them. And then there is this orange situation which is very important, that everything have to go back to normal and maintain to work. So in prevention unit that I'm unit manager, I have now 6 outreach social workers. Target group for them is 12, 13 up to 18 years old kids, youngsters, maybe to 16. And they couldn't stop the riots, not at all, but they could work during those nights with those younger population, trying to make them go home, not to being there when stones were thrown towards police and everything else. And they were very important. They did very important work in the orange situation later on when they talked to young people. And there is another picture of the Husby riots. It wasn't at all like it is said in media that young people around 15, 14 were there throwing stones to those police. It was all mostly older one, older teenagers or young adults. 17, 18 and up to 30. Half of them, second or third night, were not from the area. They come from other parts, so it was very difficult to stop them. But I have a couple of other groups who are who lives in areas who could stop a lot. So this methodological manual, in short, you can read it here. That in first meaning we are pointing that locally structured cooperation is very important. While we were working with this book, we made a couple of we did it together: Stockholm, Malmö, Gothenburg, and Uppsala, and then we made a couple of visits to London, Paris, and Copenhagen. In London, it was like this: a lot of collaboration. In Paris, it was almost repression, no collaboration at all with police. So we learned a lot. I can finish with this picture, which is also from this area. You can read translation in English down there. It was one guy who trying to express himself like this. I mean, it's not so good that he is graffiti. It's not so popular with graffiti, but it's very nice that he could write down about dandelion children. I hope that you're familiar with this. Or
somehow explain, I don't understand either of these
children. The little children can adapt to a variety of environments and do quite well. This is the children who respond to, who are raised according to. Those children are raised in families without violence. But despite that, like it's a dandelion flower which grows everywhere. I think that I don't know. It can be that this is one of these. I think so. I'm not so sure. I think so. That's why he wrote it down there. So this is like I said, children who doing very good, well against all odds. So yeah. So that's
I was interested to hear that the Japanese had visited.
yeah.
when this happened in Stockholm, I read the Japanese Times, and the headline in the Japanese Times drew attention to the fact that Sweden today has the fastest growing inequality in the world. And this was the interest of the Japanese journalists. Have you ever comment on that?
I hope not. Well, I didn't notice that. No, I don't know. Well, I don't remember which Japanese journalist I talked to because there's a couple of them. But no, well, we can discuss that a lot if it's like that. But I don't think so. Maybe in the context. I mean, when I showed this area, then we talked about segregation, poverty, and everything else. But you have to be in the Swedish context to understand that it was poverty. Because I remember another journalist. It wasn't him. Maybe I don't remember what I said to Japanese journalists. But I remember a guy from New York Times. We've been in Rinkeby, which is one of the worst places in Sweden. So I showed him in this parking. This is maybe the most dangerous spot in Sweden. And we stand there, and everything was nice, and families went there. So that depends.
Quickly,
Yeah.
mine is not a statement about poverty, it's about inequality.
Inequality.
Yeah, and of course the Japanese are interested because it's the most equal country in the world. So they're very concerned about the shift towards more unequal societies and the implication of that.
Well, I didn't notice that.
No, but it's again on a general level, it's absolutely what you say. I mean, Swedish society is from being very equal, it's sort of, what you say, falling apart. Definitely. So that's really what is happening, not just in Husby, but all over Sweden. And I think if I can use the different colors you had, I think the problem for many young people in these areas is that they don't think that they move from the orange color to the green one, but they always move to the yellow one.
Yeah.
So I think that's the question of what is normal. I think we have quite different pictures on that.
And I have one more explanation to this media covering. A lot of journalists said Sweden is one of the most welfare country, the best social system in the world. And how come that this is happening? How come that those young people are so negative and angry to whom? So, like I said, you have to be in that context to understand them, and then to go on and work further.
No, but it's important. We have welfare, but there's also an important question: how is it distributed? I mean, that's what you were talking about. So, now you had a question, but please, I know I'm really contributing to making time go fast now, but a very brief question because there is another chance afterwards. Is it okay? Is it okay? Yeah, fine. Because then I think we should move on to Spain. Because I think it could be also good if we have all these different pictures from the different countries to see together. And Rodrigo, you're going to tell us a little about the situation in Spain overall, and then in Zaragoza.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you want to use the mic here?
Hello. Yeah. Good afternoon. I'm Rodrigo Garcia from Spain, city Zaragoza. I'm working for 10 years in the field of social education with children, teenagers, and young people with the risk of social exclusion. First of all, I would like to explain what is the reality in Spain about youth riots and their connections with politics, activism, and violent disorders. I will explain the social situation and the context of the circumstances and what riots is taking on increasingly concerning forms. Spain, and this is our neighborhood, my neighborhood. Riots in Spain, that's it. Okay, recently you probably saw in TV or in net news about demonstrations, tumults and riots in the streets of Madrid and Barcelona. If you don't, I'll show you a video. Yeah. happened last 22nd of March. At the end of the journey, it was declared a big demonstration called Dignity March. The aim of this protest march was to go to Madrid from each part of Spain to meet together all the collectives, particular persons, associations involved to protest about social cutbacks, people affected by garbage mortgages, against politics corruption, in favor of a public education, public health system, workers, unions, and a large etc. of people that protest together in a peaceful reivindication walking in the center of Madrid. Some figures are between 70,000 persons to 1 million people. You'll see that statistical data depends of who apports the information. Probably we'll never know the exact number of people, but the fact is there was a lot of people. In this context, at the end of the day, some people express their discontent in a violent way. It was few people disconnected of the organizers of the event. Okay, I think it's enough. The social and economic situation in Spain is not very easy currently for many persons and family. After 40 years of dictatorship, in 1976 the democracy began. Two political parties been ruling the Spanish government. Since then, the Socialist Workers' Party, PSOE, and the Popular Party, that is right-wing policy, nowadays is the one who governs. So the welfare state starts to crumble before 2008, when the crisis was growing up, caused before the real estate boom, which indebted a lot of persons and families, when the real estate business was falling, losing their jobs and trying to pay their high mortgages. In this context, the governments, PSOE and PP, decide to cut back social services, education services, health and sanitary services as well, and many other cutbacks. And interestingly, at the same time, covering the economic losses of banks and saving banks. These banks and saving banks, impoverished families maintained high mortgages and evicted them. Since 2008, there's no week without a new notice about corruption, which involves the political class and institution with links in politics. In the current situation, the assessment who have the Spanish people from the politic is decreasing, being in the last month the worst institution assessment in Spain. Throughout these days, many citizens' social movements have arisen due to the discontent from people who look for a real participation in political life. Movements like 15M appeared spontaneously in spring 2011, occupying squares and main streets for further organization in horizontal and assembly styles, which led to autumn demonstrations in the same year. The desire for another way of political participation and the discredit of the majority of the parties between large sectors of the urban population are the reasons that led to this kind of movements. The best way to answer this question is to combine two different levels of analysis. One, the deep trend accumulating for years in Spain that set up different kind of political subjects. The second one, the political and economical background to set the claimed fuse on fire. The term indignados, was coined by Stefan Hessel and spread by the Spanish mass media from the very beginning. But actually, the 15M movement and real democracy now have been predominant. All of these movements, like 15M, Stop Eviction, Not Cutbacks, Anti-Sistema movements, and many other ones, are associated to violent disorder and riots. These movements are made up from young people, but also retired people, married people, workers, unemployed people, and a very diverse range of people. These movements are democratic and civil expression formally declared non-violent. The existence of young people that use the violence during the demonstrations and claims of different kind are small groups not involved with organized movements who made the demonstrations. Movements like Stop Eviction and Indignance use the civil disobedience in different forms, in methods of claim and persuasion, no cooperation and intervention. Methods that includes violation of duties with the corresponding penalties, boycotts to companies and banks, strikes against consume some specific products, for example, not paying certain taxes, highways, for example, stay in the streets without meeting permits, occupy places or houses, avoid evictions or obstruct them, and all of these movements are organized civil disobedience, using no violence. It's not a matter of not complaining about unfair laws, but of constructing alternatives. These movements are a clear sign of developed political culture. In January of this year, you can see Gamonal. In Burgos, north of Spain, there were riots in the district of Gamonal. The context was the council designed expensive urban planning work to build a paid parking. The neighbors claim against this project because it will only benefit the related companies, and they reclaim social improvements in this district, which have a lot of unemployment. This fight between district and council started in 2005. In 2014, the council restarted the work to build, and there was demonstrations in Gamonal. There was many demonstrations in other Spanish cities supporting the neighborhood, and there were some riots, but also in other cities, in other cities of Spain. You can see, and this is the tides. The green tides, the orange tide, and the white tide. Movements against cutbacks. There are only other one style of disobedience that is called scratches. That is the people waiting outside of the houses of the politicians protesting. This is the white tide. White tide. The orange one. Stopping eviction. So, youth riots in Spain is a phenomenon relatively recent. Although the economic and social situation in Spain is bad, the movements who are involved in social participation, political activism, active citizenship is still working to change these circumstances without the violence methods. But nowadays, the indignation of the population is still growing up, and there are many people increasing their discontent to the politics. On the other hand, the governments commonly use repressive measures in the demonstrations, and they don't show any intention to dialogue with these movements and their suggestions and requirements, underlining the long distance between the politics and the citizenship. Stopping evictions. You can see that it's not a youth problem. Scratches. Okay, now I'm going to explain some things about street education in Zaragoza. Okay, our role as a street educator in Zaragoza, Spain, is to work with childhood and young people from 6 to 16 years old in risk of social exclusion, acting in the non-formal education by means of being present in the street through participatory observation techniques and the coordination with social services, childhood resources in the district. We plan group or individual educative projects to improve the skills, attitudes, ultimately promote alternatives of life to the sector with the population we work with. Zaragoza is this is the methodology. Zaragoza is one of the biggest cities in Spain with almost 700,000 inhabitants. The street education in Zaragoza covers 9 districts with marginal problems. In each of them there is a team of street educators consisting in 2 professionals, male and female. In our district, in Las Delicias, are living 115,000 people. Las Delicias is home to the largest number of immigrants in the city. It has people of many countries: Gambia and Senegal from Africa, Romania from Europe, Ecuador, Dominican Republic and Colombia, and Morocco and Argel from North Africa. Our projects and objectives are based in the needs and deficits what we detect. For example, we're working as trainers as football teams, as monitor in cooking lessons, as socio-cultural animators, as teachers of Spanish and maths, as consultants in legal issues, mediators in various disputes, as emotional supporters, and many other roles that we do as good as we can get. These images are quite funny. Okay. 1 year ago, I want to tell you a story. 1 year ago, I was interested in one of the meeting points in the district organized by the 15M movement to provide alternatives to a place in the district, property of the city council, originally destined to build a pay parking, which was designed many years ago, but it never became a reality. I informed my supervisor of the council to assist to this meeting, and she replied that it's no part of my functions. I couldn't understand this answer. I will understand if my supervisor had said, "Okay, Rodrigo, well done. Don't worry about that. I will go instead of you." But she wasn't. Naturally, I attend the meeting outside of my working hours. In this meeting, neighbors of Las Delicias were discussing possibilities for this place, looking for a social project with social benefits for the neighborhood. I realized that meetings should be supported by the community services and representatives of the district of the city council, but this is far to be real. I contacted this day with representatives of neighborhoods associations, with people really worried about the social district problems who are living in Las Delicias. But the only people who I saw representing the council was a couple of undercover policemen asking for licenses of meeting and breaking the dynamic of the work assembly. Finally, we postponed the meeting for a later day. However, in the next meetings, we're discussing about possibility for this place. I propose a social project of kitchen garden, a very cheap project, that it had a lot of agreements. I redact the project, we collect signatures in information point, and we send the proposal to the district board policies. And we never had a formal response. Nowadays, this place I'm talking about is still with no specific use, except dogs doing their needs. This is an example of how the governments of my city are not generally interested in community development. How should outreach workers respond to youth riots? Okay, sorry, I have to put more photographs of it. Yeah. Okay. In Spain, riots were not common. But it's a fact that recently the discontent of the population is growing, and riots should be a way to express this discontent in people who don't have the intellectual resources to redirect their discontent to a proper way of active citizenship. Government should provide this access to participate in the democracy, but instead of this, they promote the repression. In this context, people forgot that many of the resources in the suburbs was a result of organized claims through the district associations of neighborhoods in the 60s, 70s and 80s, like sanitary centers, sport places, public widening, well-paved sidewalks, etc. As social educators, we think the vast development is that which contains the social needs and is made up by the inhabitants who should be the ones playing the main role in the changes that they are looking for in the community. The people we are working with don't participate in any riot, but also in almost any community dynamic. Most of them are immigrants and their worries have nothing to do with the community development. And I'm not talking about childhood and young people. I'm also referring to their families. And it's not a problem of immigrants, it's about national people too, who don't care about community development, about improve the conditions of the neighborhood. As street educators, we should not educate in politic trends. We are not at the service of politics, and even less at politics which doesn't care about social problems. But we should educate in critical awareness and active citizenship. Another interesting point of view is what people understand about the term public. It means that it's for all the citizens or for the people in general. But in our culture, people understand, including our politicians, that it belongs to nobody. We must realize again that many equipments, resources and projects are everybody's. And we must take care of them. We should get involved in its good maintenance. Children and young people were born in a social welfare state with everything it provides. But currently, we are at risk of losing all these benefits: educational, sanitary, economical and social. We take them for granted. Until now, we didn't have to fight to get them. So we have to educate in values, in attitudes that have to do with politics, in the responsibility that we have as citizens. We can't intervene directly in the civilian commitments, in the interests about politics to the underaged users. But we can do it in respect, human dignity, solidarity, in human rights. When we start from scratch a football team with boys of the street, and we play in trainings, and we get involved in a competition, and we educate to get up the partner who falls to the ground, to shake hands with the opposing team at the end of the match, even if you lose 10-0. We should try to educate in a more proactive citizenship for our young people to get involved in all the issues around them, to take part in their improvements, and for them to have a rewarded effort and among all the ways that could exist. I believe that the best one is community work. The social network which brings support and solidarity, the neighbor movements, district associations, overall trying to get the kids involved in their districts with their neighbors, building a critical consciousness that links their individuality to that of the community. And that is one of the best educational targets that an outreach worker could get. Thank you very much.
Right, thanks. Great. Shall we see if there is any just very quick question? Yeah, you are all models. Okay. Now let's continue then. So we'll go to a bit east from where we resided recently. Now we're going to Marseille. Yes. Do you need this one?
Yeah.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
I think it's better. Maybe you hear like this. No.
No, I think.
No, not good enough.
Je pensais que tu allais prendre celui-là.
Mais non, je pense. Ok, non, c'est pas pratique. Okay, so just try to get this one.
Tu gères la binu?
Okay, so hello everybody. Thank you for inviting us to this conference. Just to start, okay, we're going to talk about what we do, because we're not politicians, we're activists out of the streets. And also just to point out that everything has been almost said, both of you, of what is really these riot events. The déclencheur, the trigger. I mean, that's about what we found in France, but I only know that because of the medias. I'm not taking care of that. So what we're going to try to describe today is what we do in Marseille. Okay, so we're harm reduction activists. So it's of course related to peer-to-peer actions, and we intend to do a true and sincere action within what could appear to be a violent community. This violence, we rather talk about very intense relations instead of violence. But, yeah. So Nouvelle Aube, it's our small association, okay, it's small. Started in 2010 with fundators, Joe and Julien and another guy who's not here. That now are director and responsible for street work in squat section. And I took place as president, replacing Joe, as I'm also activist for 17 years in rave parties and harm reduction in France. I happen to be Swedish, but I forgot it so long time ago. So I'm French doctor, and emergency medicine and addiction. And especially we have a team, people we work with. There are, guys and girls that volunteer, like me, I'm volunteer, it's not my job, but I'm just volunteer. And on whom we rely on to go towards our action. So the public. We deal with young people, age 18 to 30, especially men, 60%, women 40, that has no or low income. That's very precarious. You have to know that in France, between 18 to 25, you have no social aids. You have to wait to 25 to get RSA, what we call. So you can see, this is the part of the ones have no income, minimal wages, which goes with RSA, and this is handicap aids. Of course, this is the population. To use the mouse. This is where people come from, and it's quite various. Come from regions, Marseille, and this is from Europe. A lot from East Europe and North Africa.
Yes. We meet people coming from all over the Europe because Marseille is a strategic place to come, which can rely Italy to Spain or Italy to Germany or whatever. And it's a place people like to stay because you will meet a lot of people jobless, a lot of people doing the same life like you. It's a warm place, and so you can stay here a while to know what to do after. So it's why we have a lot of people coming all over the Europe in Marseille. It's strategic.
So what we deal with? So we have like 4 fields in which we're intervened. First of all, it's street work on the dealing places, meeting points. We went around with the Norwegian association that make the same thing but more prevention. In prevention, we really do harm reduction, heavy harm reduction. So it's going around with backpacks with syringes, needles. What do we gather? Information and information about drugs. They know a lot. So the small brochure is not enough. There's so much things to know. So tools, blah blah blah. What else? Tools. Yeah, it's about all we have in the backpack.
Yes.
Then that brings us, when we have those contacts, and also in the social cultural events, but I will come back on that later. We're on invitation, always on invitation. We might go to the squatted houses, the places where people live. There we arrange other things, and that's part of, how many do we have in Marseille? About 26 places? This changes all the time, but
effective. In Marseille, there are more than 100 houses squatted all over the street. In fact, in a short area of the center of Marseille, there are 11,000 places empty without people living there, waiting to prices getting up. So there are so many people starving and living out, and there are so many solutions to get them.
About 30,000 people are supposed to be like homelesses, okay,
Yes.
and 3,000 are really in the streets about, and this 30,000 population is also in the communities.
Yes, and in fact, to respond to your question, we are a little association, but it's our strength because we are so reactive, so quick to be there. But so we are in fact in touch with about 30-40 places in the same time, just like if you take a photography now. And we will see in a few minutes the differences of the different places we are going to.
So, also one of the fields that's quite new though is prison. So we go and see the same people we follow in the streets, squatted houses, social cultural events. So in prisons, if they have legal outcomes. It's grand to visit, and then of course counseling, empowerment of these people that are excluded, and then especially when they get out, we help them to turn back to their at least their human rights are I mean their dignity. That was their dignity is assured. For the social, okay, squatted houses. So, c'est toi qui yes, c'est celui-là.
Yes. To begin with, I'd like to say that we do twice a week the street work, twice a week the socio-cultural events, and twice a week the squatted houses visits. And so we go one time each week in prison, in detention, to see our people, because we are everywhere where our people are. We are part of the scene we are working with, and so we need to be at every moment of their life with them. This is our little strategy. It's so simple. I don't like the plans which are so too difficult. So to begin with, we make the street work, and since more than 10 years, and we used to know where to go, where people like to buy their stuff, like to meet, like to consume, or whatever. So we try every time to get invitations, live place, and effectively we are doing with people the evaluation of the place they live, and so we hope to improve the life conditions, which are awful. Peut-être derrière. Ah, yes.
Il manque un truc.
Non, vas-y, ça vient après. T'inquiète, c'est juste. Well, this is what we call the alpha squad. In fact, in Marseille, there are five great teams of people which are well organized, which are, as we can see, people living there often claim political evolution. They like riot. They are part of music alternative scene, and the relationship with authority can be wrong. They are well secularized, and so they don't really need our help. But we really know them, and we learn together what to do in precautions. This is the Delta Squad. In fact, we have now about 8 Delta Squads, but it's always moving, sometimes closed, sometimes open. Delta Squad for us, it's a place we can securize it. And it's so important because there are people living there, and we are talking about young adults, 18 to 25. And Marseille can be a very dangerous city, especially where there are problem of addiction, problem of precariousness, and poverty. These are places people live there to survive. The Omega Squad. In fact, these are places we can't securize it because no door, all in the war, etc., etc., etc. We have a lot of people living there. It's the easiest place to come in to have a protection. And the difficulty is it's really extremely dangerous to live there. And so, in fact, we try to securize one piece on all the squats, and we don't arrive every time. The last one, the shelters. Numbers and numbers shelters, dozen and dozen. People living tent or under little protection. Really dangerous too. But we are in Marseille, Sun City. It looks so nice to live out, but it's really so dangerous.
Okay. To continue with the social culture events we promote also. It's a bit like Rodrigo said. We decide things to do that's very important in life. Screen printing, sessions, stencil, live shows, tattoos. Okay, so we provide all the harm reduction. So we provide all the sterile material and seed gout, so it's well done, but they know. Street art, and some more things also. So what's a bit more heavy? The main course. Of course, the thing is that we have people walking around the streets, so we try to find solutions for them. Maybe some squats are big enough that they can go from one to other, and also try to find solution with what's local, the local association, other things that exist. The layout of shelters. We have a stock of tools we can lend to make simple small things inside. We got also money for heating, covers and clothes from specific associations called Fondation Abbé Pierre, which takes care of homelesses. We make social medical outreach. That's how I met these guys like 10 years ago. We worked in an association. And then, as I was responsible for a Doctor of the World mission in rave parties, it looked logical to work with them, as we got nurses, doctors, and social assistants to go out and with their tournée when we're invited, and if there's a need, of course, we go. For example, you see there's abscess here, injection abscess in the leg, and many other things which is specific to the population. Social medical outreach, talk about it. Needle exchange program also, like roller bowling intervention. We identify places that where people inject. It's not all, of course, but some squats are injector squats. And
yes, the more precariousness you have, the more risk you will find.
Yeah. So yeah, it's like for us in France, we visited the injection room in Oslo, so this shooting gallery. I don't know the correct word in English, but this maybe more correct. Shooting is not. Okay, the shooting room. My English, French half. So.
Of course.
We don't have those kind of facilities in France. The law is too far from the reality we do in harm reduction in France even now, yes. So they don't allow us to do shooting rooms. It's important. They didn't say no. It's just so the law should change, maybe. I would like to change, but yeah. So we have injection support, and then we were sure that the clean set, and also we deliver. What's important for us and what makes a difference for other associations is as we go towards people, we deliver less syringes than we take back, because all the other associations wait people to bring them back. Yes. But that's so-so. So about 150, yeah, 150% goes back. So that's quite nice. And then, of course, we're turning people to social medical networks. That I'm a part of many things, but it's quite large, and there are things to do. But these guys don't want. We have about 80% of the population that doesn't have social security, because, well, shit never happens. So when it happens, it's too late. We also they have gotten they do those rapid test, HIV, HVC test, and have been for pre-information and post-information, pre-counseling and post-counseling of the result. And of course, we deal with food and hygiene issues. Want to say something about
Oh yes. We use the system D. I don't know if I can.
the D system.
D
It's
system?
the
Oh.
démerde.
Forget. We used to recuperate and to know how to get food, how to get stuff to increase the quality life, and to get for free. We can pay, of course, a little bit of them, but it's not our aim and not our way to do. We know how to bring back meat to the squad thanks to the Recuperation Act.
Okay, so pointing out more what's the subject, and try to turn a bit around what we think about youth and violence, as it's the term of the workshop. Of course, we have a population that present vulnerability factors to drug use and addiction, but well, that means, of course, a part of the eventual violence they're exposed to is related to that. And of course, mental disease, which makes it harsher to manage some situation, and of course, for follow-ups that are more complicated and might be violence. Really might, small might. Also, they struggle with survival, so it's very hidden, and also with maybe drug use and other illegal issues and clandestinity that they're. It's also violence, and of course, start to rejoin Enrico's kind of problems with lifestyle against justice. I mean, that way, I mean, it's like okay, it's youth in revolt. So, and it's almost a part, could be even sometimes be part of the identity of being in opposition to the system and police. But it's not for nothing. We have, of course, very strong security policies problems in France. Maybe the worst one the worst that deal with that is the Rome community, but I don't talk about them, though they don't even exist. In France, at least, it's a bit the same somewhere else. Just for example, 2 weeks ago there was a carnival, and the carnival we had, there was you burn Mr. Carnival. You have this procession, and you have the man you burn out at the end. It's not a man, but it's a fake man in paper. Because what happened was that suddenly, and that the police came. What was written in what I heard in the radio the day after, national radio, is that it was a victim, and that they didn't let the firemen go by and take the victim out. So the police came and picked up 6 people that went to jail, still 4 in jail. The problem is that wasn't truth, of course. What they just wanted to lit the fire, extinguish. Thank you.
Yes.
Extinguish the fire. So, and that we knew afterwards. And this is a nice film on the internet. We see all the scenes. And we have also people. So that's exactly the type of things happening. It's always like they want. It's so no negotiation, and then wrong evaluation of the fear, and then everybody gets just arrested, beaten, or just for something that was There were families. It wasn't just young hippies, junkies, or what you want. it's really carnival. Then also point out the Kalashnikov syndrome is what I call, maybe you've heard about that in Marseille. We have this special thing in the cité, in this big bars with, well, I suppose, with big poverty. All the stability we have, because they don't burn cars in Marseille, strangely.
Yes.
It's in Strasbourg, Paris, but it's not very violent. So, but if you look closer, when you go to those places where they burn cars, it's really a strong economy based on hashish.
Yes.
So that's what maintains the system. The Kalashnikov syndrome is that everybody's scared of going to Marseille because you could be, but that's no problem, no fear. If you don't deal hash, you will not have any problem, okay? And don't go to places where they deal hash because, I don't think we're talking about Sweden, but
yes.
I don't go there. I don't go there. And even though we try to do outreach things with needle exchange, he does maybe, but we needle exchange, and we wanted to implement things with squats that are, it's an old school covered with syringes. They just grab a syringe, try if it's okay, and then they do their thing because they find heroin just beside. So every time we try to do that, we had violence of the community because we're the cause of the drug dealer coming, of course, and also of the extreme right that wants to burn us up, and that has closed in that place. I mean, that place is closed now, so we cannot do any more outreach work there, at least. But that's for another association I work with, and so now I'm talking about it. And of course, drug war. So that's what drug war kills people.
Yes.
I suppose everybody's okay with that here.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
When you say drug war, do you mean war on drugs, or is it a specific thing you are talking about?
No, war against
War on
drugs.
war,
Yeah, same kind.
Because I think
Thanks to Uruguay, maybe things will change.
Yeah.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
And that kills more, I think, than marijuana doesn't kill much. Kills with Kalashnikov. But okay, it's another problem. It's not a discussion. I don't. What we deal with our population is more like, okay, globally they're big unfaithful in the system, politics and law, with all this condition gathered together, and faith and freedom in speech and living. That's a bit what we want to promote, and what we try to.
It's Mediterranean too.
Yeah, it's Mediterranean too. So speech, yeah. So that's a bit the idea of what we try to do. Thank you.
Many thanks.
Great, thanks very much. Now let's see if there are any specific questions to... Yeah, please stay.
You pointed that you pointed a couple of times that you have to be invited to visit.
Yes.
If you are not invited, you don't
Yes.
go there. And how come that?
No.
What happened from the beginning when you
Of course.
were invited?
Yes. It was a raccourci. Well, the beginning is always trying to be invited by team to come in their house. But every place is even dark. The more the place is dark and closed and it's abandoned, the more we want to come in. So if we come in without an invitation, we are street workers since more than 10 years. We have some strategy to come in, and so we know what to do. But it's not the same. When we come to see the team, when we want to meet the team, we meet on the street. When specifically I want to see them and to evaluate their place, we have to collect an invitation. It's an obligation for us. But we enter everywhere, but not without strategy. It's step by step. We can take a lot of time. We can tell the guys what kind of place is it, who's going on there, and we can take time to meet people getting inside to do what they want to do. They want to consume, they want to share the money, they want what to do. But yes, we are building a big trust with people. It's really important that more 10 years we are working on the street in Marseille. We are so well known by people living in the streets. We don't know everybody because everybody is moving and coming in Marseille, it's normal. But when we enter a place, people meeting in the street, we have an invitation. That's what I wanted to say. But we go everywhere.
Okay, yeah, let's see. We are short on mics here. You use mics. Yeah, that's
Yeah, just a short question. My name is Hans Erik from Copenhagen. I'm familiar with the situation around Paris in 2005, so I'm familiar with the situation in Nice also, but I didn't quite understand your point why Marseille is different from, or the situation in Marseille is different from the suburbs. Bobigny or...
It's a present.
I think what I feel, because it's not, of course, I'm not a specialist also. What I feel is really like Marseille has a specificity of having a big population coming from North Africa. You name it, it's not the capital of Scandinavia, but it's the excuse me. It's stupid. It's the European capital of North Africa. That's because it's one of the, because it's like 20-30% of the population really comes from North Africa. Have other communities also.
Immigrant and son of immigrants. Don't forget it.
Yeah, we have many generations.
They are at home. They are married. They are not at home. Yes.
Yeah.
They are Marseillan.
And also,
it's for no car because they don't want see police. They want business, toilet. Business, money, no police, no burn car. Okay. It's totally different. It's not
That's very interesting. Did everybody catch that?
No.
It was Julian. He's also working with the project, but we didn't hear what you said, Julian.
Yes.
So please, because I think that was yeah. You tried that.
Yes, I say it's totally different, Marseille and other country. In Marseille, the person from the immigrant or the person from North Africa thinks they are at home, not in Paris, or problem of identity or etc. In Marseillan, free generation, and they have the sentiment of it's our house, it's our country. Marseille is for everywhere, and they think they are Marseillais, not French but Marseillais, and they don't. They protect our district. They don't burn the car because they protect our business. Everybody's, not everybody, but a lot of persons sell, deal cocaine or hash, etc. And they make our money. And if they burn car or the police come, and it's a problem for all the districts. It's very different of Paris or a little point of deal, and other person live very different.
And also there has been many associations working also with precariousness and activities empowering those communities for a very long time, even though now it starts to break down. And also, just to point out that the violence there is quite strong. I mean, people that live there, they are fed off. They want to get rid of this Kalashnikov thing because it's really like, it's violence. And since it started, it's about 33 persons died last year, I think. On those 33, it's just one collateral. Okay, it was a kid, but it was really not aimed. It's really like, règlement de compte. They just kill each other for business.
Yeah. Okay. No, fine. Yes. Please, Graham, just a minute to but what I think we could do now, could Dejan and Rodrigo, could you also come up so we can sort of, because we are trying now to get all these things together. We're going to form a unified. And I know you, after Graham, you asked for a word, and I think you did too, didn't you? Yeah, so you will have the mic on, so you're prepared. Please go ahead.
Of course, it's also true that in 2005, with the riots in France, there was no rioting in Marseille, and people went from all over the world to try to understand what happened in Marseille. And I hear from you the Kalashnikov culture and these kinds of things. But my question, which is to all of you, one of the theories about Marseille's geography and its lack of suburbanization, and I'm interested in the maps that Dejan shows us about Ousby. It's on the periphery of the city, and I don't know about Saragossa. Do any of you guys have a geographical analysis of the causes of civil unrest or riot? Because I suspect that there's some value in our cooperation with social geographers and physical geographers to try to understand.
No, I don't think so that geography matters. It's more like suburbs. I mean, if you look at Malmö, it's like a couple of suburbs there. The Gothenburg suburbs, nothing is happening. Well, more crime happening in the cities, but more violence in the suburbs. So I cannot find any geographical explanation of the violence. Sure, you're a professor of sociology, maybe you can explain it better, but I think that geography matters.
Yeah, I would say yes, because it's not geographical in the sense, it just depends on where you live, but it depends on that different parts of the geographic, the geography of Stockholm is also a social geography. It's about where you live, what kind of resources you have, what kind of feeling you have of being a part of a bigger society. And that's really an interesting thing I think about if we compare with Marseille, is that if I understand you right, you say you have a very strong local feeling of being from Marseille. So, and you don't have that in Stockholm. I don't think people in Husby I don't think they would say, well, we're from Stockholm. They would say, well, you have a strong local connection in your own suburb. Yeah. So I think that really matters. But then I also think it's, again, if I can make a comparison to Marseille, I think it's very interesting that since I think what we have actually in, for example, Swedish suburbs is that we have a much more large police presence. However, obviously in Marseille, they don't want to have police there in any case. So that's also one reason why the police isn't that kind of local actor as it is in Swedish suburbs. I think that's also quite interesting. So yes, I would say that geography matters because it's social.
If we talk social geography, yes, geography no.
I would say I have several questions. I'm also trying to have some kind of list here. So now it's up first you. All right.
Hi, my name is Goran and I'm from west coast of Norway, Bergen. Outreach service there. Initially, I had two short questions for the first presenter, but I think there are definitely parallels. Because you present the whole spectrum of different social realities and the social contexts, which also have to do with geography in a lot of sense. But however, I will pose those questions that I initially wanted. First one is in regards to the shooting episode in Stockholm. You mentioned that that was a triggering effect, not the reason in itself. My question was, to what extent had the de facto reasons for the riots and unrest been properly addressed by these short and long-term measures that you presented? Had they been addressed, and to what extent? The real reasons behind this. You mentioned one particular thing of I don't know how many billions of kronas that were poured in. Is that affecting the reality on the street, and how? Is that part of the solution? Because the parallel to the other presentations, for me, I'll just use 30 more seconds, is that sometimes it sounds to me like the places and the social context of activism on the street level by professionals are often in a better situation to make a change, where the support, this public financial support, is absent. Because sometimes it sounds like the financing of projects, of these measures, are also the regulating part, where the public, which to a certain degree is the reason for the unrest, maintains the status quo. Is there a parallel? Some talk
I think I'm going to use the mic there, then you can pass it on to...
I'll try to remember all of the questions. Yeah, it was a trigger, but it was a trigger, or you can also interpret that as an opportunity to revenge on police. Those young people or young adults wanted, there is a good chance that we will try to damage the drug police, because they are damaging us all the time. So formal explanation was that it was a trigger, and it was a trigger for media, for people to be angry, to act, to react. But this small group of young adults took that opportunity to fight back against police. It wasn't so difficult to take other young people to join them. So it was both trigger and opportunity to fight back. Those long-term, why I showed this picture, those buildings and everything, because we tried last year, after riots, every time when I had a chance to talk to politicians, I wanted to show that there is, it's a small group of young people who are doing those things. Husby is not area that there is a lot of crime and drug dealers and everything, because it's suburb like every other suburb, and I wanted to lift the positive that we have in that area, and I wanted also to lift all the good things that we are doing, trying to make better living conditions. And that's why I showed everything and said that, well, those long-term things that we are doing, we've been doing them all the time. And if they're affecting, well, I want to believe that they do changing things. A lot of the opportunities for young people to get jobs, summer jobs, everything. So if nothing else, it can be worse. But so I think, and I want to believe that those actions make difference. So.
Okay, that's fine. I think we move on here. Let me just say that Rodrigo, he's sitting here just because he has an interpreter there. So he's still participating. You have to imagine that he's standing here on my right side. Okay, so he's
I forgot to say sorry about my English.
Yeah. Yes, so you can ask questions to Rodrigo, that's what I'm trying to say. So please.
Hello, thank you. My name is Tove, and I'm working in northern part of Oslo, in a part of Oslo called Stovner, and I'm a crime and drug prevention coordinator. To Husby, I wondered if you think it was kind of true that the young people had been looked down on and be treated unwell by the police. That's the one question. And to Zaragoza, because I'm a prevention coordinator, I believe in, of course, prevention work. And I felt that in Zaragoza you did a lot of prevention work with cooking parties and all that, and if you could tell a little more about that. And then in Marseille, I understand that you are a voluntary organization, or are you an organization? And how do people that need your help get in hold of you? Do you only talk with people at the streets and at the different places, or is there a place where you can be called? Do you have an office? Do you have, where do people get? And I think you are more doing a repairing work than a prevention work. Is that true?
Great. No, we won't take it in the order I think they said. Very good. We have to be very brief in answering these questions because we have only 5 minutes, because there will be another seminar after this one, so we have to end at 4 o'clock. So, but I think let's start with the first question, and Zaragoza, and then to Marseille, and then also.
Yeah, the question was if police were violent to the people the first night. Well, I wasn't there first night, so I cannot say that I saw that. So I don't know, but I heard, and there were many witnesses who said that it occurred, because people trying to push away young people who were throwing stones at them. And a couple of people employed by the city district, so I mean my employees, have trying to stop young people, trying to talk to police and said, look, we are working, we are trying to help. And they get a couple of, they did not beaten, but dogs maybe bite them once or twice or something. So yeah, it occurred, and it was one of the reasons why media were very, very interested to follow that. Because like I said, day 2 was a press conference, and they said it was like that. And I just want to say, well, I talk a lot about police, but we have great and very good collaboration and with local police office. So I'm not telling all the time that police did wrong all the time, because they're really trying to make a good relation to inhabitants.
Okay, thank you. Yeah?
Yeah, my place is a thing of prevention. Working this way, because the people are, the immigrant population is the first and the second generation, and there's no big problems in the city. But now the council is very relaxed about social programs, because there's no many problems. But that's the point. If you are very relaxed and you don't pay attention in these things, then the problems, the social problems can explode in your face.
Fine, thanks. And then Marseille about the...
Okay, so we're an association. I'm president. I work for a living. I'm PhD in emergency medicine and in addictology. Director and the social worker that we started to pay this year, because they work on their chômage. Yeah, they were jobless before, so we started to at least they live. Then we make what we called third prevention tertiaire. It's third, yeah. So it's really 2 injections. So I mean, explain how they inject, blah blah blah. But and then I also make, yeah. But it's more like the clinique du lien. It's the clinic of the link with people, and also connecting people that are disconnected, professionals and users. So it's more in that range we act. It's really something that catalyzer of relations, and also we had an office, but it was like a vitrine, like we call. Okay, it was a squat, so we got kicked out of our office, and the city hall has given us an old bar, which is perfect. Has given a bar. Okay, there's some work to do. It's falling apart a bit, but it's It's perfect. It's perfect. There's a storage thing inside. We put things in the garden outside, so it's nice. Yeah.
Well, it's good news. There is a bar in Marseille waiting for us. Please, just
make the name afterwards.
Just a couple of minutes. Elsa Christine will have the last word here, so please just rest 2 minutes, please.
Yeah, I'm going to be quick. It was very interesting to listen to all three of you. And when Graham asked about the geographical differences here, I started thinking about it. But what I somehow see and what could be interesting at some point to investigate more is the fact that from Zaragoza you speak about actually corruption among politicians, EU, and actually kind of what I would call an old 60s demonstration policy, like a political act, while in Marseille, when you talked about the differences between Paris and Marseille and how the belonging to an area is actually also creating differences in the way of acting. What I hear you talking about are actually people that self-harm themselves with injections, so it's sort of, it's got other more like something coming from war on drugs and a split kind of conflict between the establishment and within the drug scene. While in Sweden it was more like, I'm asking, it was more like a riot among youngsters that also didn't really feel they belonged there. So it was more like a Paris, like a Paris connection there. I'm just trying to read the different maps here, and it could be interesting to follow.
Yeah, please.
Well, I really don't know how can we compare Paris and Marseille. Paris is a capital. There is everything, every solution, every money, every what you want. In Marseille, it's a forbidden city, but there is a lot of money too, but for a few people. There is a scission, a cut between the north and the south in Marseille. So you have the immigration people and some of immigration in the north, and you have maybe, what can I say, little white guy on the south. So there is a real difference between this city which got two heads, a poor one and a rich one. And so you will find a lot of exclusion, a lot of difference between habitants. And so that's what we are. We are street work, we are a team of street work specialized. We are outreach service. And our job is to make the junction between people, each other, and people and the rural services of Marseille. That's what we are.
Thanks. Anyway, but I think you're right there, that in some sense I think the feeling between people, the young people in Husby and the centre of the city in Stockholm is about the same as Marseille and Paris. And there is an element of self-harm also, I think, in the youth riots, for example, in Husby, destroying their own area. Sorry, no. We have to stop here because we have a chance here. Thank you very much.